Hola, buenos días. Me llamo Maritza. Hi, my name's Maritza. I'm a retired Spanish teacher. I now work from home, taught over 35 years, all grades, starting from first grade all through high school. And today we're going to learn how do you say the subject pronouns in Spanish. Now, before we start, what is a subject pronoun? And the subject pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. We use pronouns once we've introduced a noun, so we don't have to keep repeating the same thing over and over. For example, let's say Mrs. Richards is a teacher, and I continue speaking. She is very nice. She is standing for Mrs. Richards. It's a female, one person, so it's she. The student is studying. Depending on if it's a male or female student, we would say he or she. In this case, I'm saying it's a boy. He is in the library, so he is taking the place of the student. John and Paul are playing. They are in the gym. John and Paul, they takes the place. Mary and I are going out. Mary and I, we. We are going to the movies. So these are just a quick examples of what the subject pronouns are. And in Spanish, before I even start, I want to go over, there's three ways of saying you in Spanish. One of them is tú. That's a familiar you. Now notice the accent on the you. Without the accent in Spanish, it means your. So be very, very careful that when you're writing it, you do put an accent on the you. And the tú is a familiar way. If I want to say you, I'm speaking to someone, I know them very well, or on a first name basis, it's family and friend, children. Usually if you're in a first name basis, it's acceptable, and that is a familiar way. And this will make sense as you go through, but just know that that's what that is. Then if you're not as familiar with someone and you're a little bit more formal, you're more respectful, it is usted. And capital UD period is an abbreviation of USTED. Usted is the way you pronounce it, not usted. My students used to pronounce it like that. It's usted. The U in Spanish is u, so it's usted. And it's a formal singular way of saying you. Use it with people, as I said, that you wish to show respect, such as teachers, strangers, people that you don't know well and are not on a first name basis. For myself, when I would speak with my students' parents, if they were Spanish, I would always use usted. I was being more formal. And they usually would tell me, you can be not so familiar. They'd let me call them by their first name. Then that's telling me that I can be a little bit more familiar. And I'm going to show you an example of what that makes a difference here in a little bit. And then ustedes, and that's just me saying all of you, you plural. If I was speaking to my class, for example, I would say ustedes. I'm speaking to more than one you plural, like a better way of saying that. And that is spelled USTEDES, abbreviated UDS period. And it's like saying you all. Okay, so let's learn the subject pronouns. In Spanish, the way we say I is yo. And repeat after me, yo. For the familiar you, as we learned, tú. Now I'm keeping these together and I'm going to show you why in the same line. Él, notice the accent on the E, means he. Ella, two L's are a Y sound, ella. And then usted, he for él, ella is she, and usted is the formal you. Then we have two ways of saying we, nosotros and nosotras. One is masculine, nosotros. Nosotras is feminine. Again, I'll show you some examples here in a little bit. They both mean we. And then we have these that also stay together. Ellos, which is they, and ellas, also they. One is masculine, ellos. One is feminine, ellas. And then you all is ustedes. Let me show you why, because you will, when you're learning Spanish and any of the other videos, myself included or other channels or your teacher, whomever, they keep them in the same order. And this is why. Let's take the example. I used the verb. You may know the verbs, may not. Maybe you're reviewing. Whatever the case is, I'm going to use hablar as a example. Hablar just means to speak. So if I wanted to say I speak, I cannot say yo for I. Hablar. I have to change the verb. I have to conjugate the verb. And so how we do this is we drop the ending. In this case, this is called an AR verb for obvious reasons and ends in AR. We drop the AR, which leaves us with HABL, and then we add a different ending depending on the subject pronoun. So that's why this is so important. If you're just starting Spanish, get the subject pronouns down, and the Spanish will be so much easier. But if you're not sure, it can be confusing. So anyway, let me go on. So yo, for example, if I want to say I speak, I drop the AR and I add in an O. So now it's yo hablo. The O in the verb, the ending of the verb on the verb means it's giving you, you know that it goes with yo. So I could just say hablo español. And after you've learned your endings and so forth, you'll know that I'm saying I speak in this case. Let's say the verb to look at is mirar. If I said miro, I look at. So maybe you get the idea. And I have many verbs that I'm doing this with, but I just wanted to show you why we learn them in a certain order and why the endings kind of makes a little sense. For tú, so if I want to say you speak, I drop the AR and add AS. Hablas. H's are silent, by the way. Tú hablas. I can say tú hablas or just hablas because only one person has the AS ending on the AR verbs. One person has the O ending, which is yo, tú. But remember how I said we're going to learn these all together? El, a, and usted. All these three have an A ending on the verb. So habla could mean he speaks, she speaks, you speak. So it's best to use either their name or the subject pronoun. For example, Juan habla, Maria habla, usted habla. Or we could just say él habla, ella habla, usted habla. So these three people have the same ending for the verb. That goes with any verbs that you learn. For we have AMOS ending. So it's hablamos, nosotros hablamos, or nosotras hablamos, we speak. Again, you don't need the subject pronoun unless your teacher tells you or you want to emphasize it. So I could say Ana y yo hablamos, we speak. And then for the last one, endings, ellos, ellas, and ustedes all have the AN ending. And again, it's best to use the subject pronoun with it or their names with it or the noun with it, whatever the case could be. Okay, so it's hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, hablan. This is not what we were learning, but I wanted to show you how they all go together. Let's take a little quiz. Okay, un examen. Now, if I want to say él, that is, what does it mean? He. Nosotros, that is we, and it happens to be the masculine we. Yo, I. Ellos, they. It's a masculine. Tú, the familiar you. Ustedes, that is you plural or you all. Ella, she. Usted, the formal you. Nosotras, it's we and the feminine we. Muy bien, good job. Just go back and review and go ahead and subscribe, like, share, comment on my video, and also go ahead and click on the bell so you'll get videos as they come in. Now, as I mentioned, I do work from home, and I do a home business that you may be interested or maybe someone that you know. So go ahead and go to MaritzaRichards.com. It'll take you to my website. It'll explain what we're doing, and I love what I do. I love helping. I'm making these videos, but I also have to make a living, and I love what I do. So go ahead and click on the link in the description, MaritzaRichards.com, and I'll see you next time. Adios.